Hi, I'm Robin Forster with Feel So Alive, and my guest today, even though it says Jessica's iPad, this is really Jessica G. So, Jessica, yeah, if you'd wave and say hi. And I'm really excited to have Jessica here because, as you all know, I'm into body work and taking care of our bodies. And Jessica was my coach for a while with weightlifting, which was super fun. I just learned so much about it. And so I was very excited when she agreed to come and share with us. Yeah, it's very fun. So, a little bit about Jessica. She has worked as a massage therapist for over 16 years and as well as a holistic health coach. She currently coaches Olympic style weightlifting and mindfulness in weightlifting, which I can't wait to get into that because that's going to be really exciting. But before we get into that, oh, and I'm looking off to the side because I'm looking at my notes, just so y'all know. So, Jessica, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so you covered several things, but I did start out as a massage therapist, which I actually just let go of that completely back in like February of last year, 2020, pre-COVID, right? I was like, I would have lost it anyways. It's gone now. Um, so I got into weightlifting coaching. I started doing a little bit of it about 10, 11 years, just a little tiny bit of it on the side. And then almost 10 years ago, I started coaching out at Eugene CrossFit for Eugene CrossFit for CrossFitters. And then it progressed that then I started kind of just building up on that. I started doing networking stuff with people like you. And so I started kind of venturing into kind of coaching everyone. And so it was a slow transition. And then now I'm still out at Eugene CrossFit, but I actually just rent the space from them and I coach my own people. And it's mostly is people that want to just weight lift, whatever their other motives are, whether they want to compete or not, but it's more just about the weightlifting. And I competed in the sport of weightlifting for about 15 years myself. So I have a little experience on the other side of it as well as the weightlifter. These days I don't compete anymore, but I just get to have the joys of coaching my people. And like you mentioned, I just am bringing in more of the mindfulness. That's always been a big piece that I'd like to share with people. So I'm kind of transitioning away from doing the holistic health coaching and more into like holistic mindfulness weightlifting coaching with all of that. So it's kind of a more embodied experience. So of embodying that mindfulness and bringing that into the lifters I have that are my lifters. And I also want to share that with people that aren't my lifters, whether they're weightlifters or CrossFitters or obviously everyone can benefit from mindfulness, whatever they're doing, even if it's just going for a walk. I know there's a lot of books on that kind of stuff, that like mindfulness walking, but I find that very helpful. And I see how much it's helped me personally. So that's why I'm so drawn to share that with others.
Oh, excellent. I mean that seems unusual for weightlifting, and yet it makes so much sense. I
Yeah,
mean, just thinking about how, you would talk to me about the bar and lifting and positioning my body, and that's really all about being very mindful.
right. It's
Yeah,
definitely it's like, it's already incorporated into the sport so much and yet not really talked about, which I find so fascinating. And I used to always joke that we need psychiatrists for weightlifters. And so I'm like, but maybe not quite as well. We might still, but maybe for other reasons. But it's like, I really was thinking that, yeah, if we just really embrace that mindfulness aspect, and when we are, like you said, when you bring that in and allow more of that, how much more fluid it goes, just like with anything in life.
exactly. Well, and it seems like part of that mindfulness is slowing down enough to actually feel what's going on. So, I'm finding as I'm aging, my body is talking to me a lot more than it used to. And
Yeah.
some of the things I used to be able to get away with, not so much anymore. And so that mindfulness is even becoming more important about, well, which muscle am I using? Is that a strong muscle? Or is
Hmm.
that actually weak and it needs to be strengthened? Or I won't be able to go kayak this summer if I don't
Right.
strengthen those muscles.
Yeah, absolutely. So it takes definitely, like you said, like that actually tuning in with your body and not just presuming. Sometimes we think, oh, that doesn't feel good, I need to strengthen that. Well, if you tune in, maybe it's not that you need to strengthen it. Maybe it just needs, it needs a little, actually needs some rest or something else.
Oh,
So,
good point. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so to the next question, you talked a little bit about this. How did you get drawn into this line of work, and how have you seen it benefit others?
so interestingly, I actually wrote a blog about this just like a week ago. So it's kind of, I made me laugh when I was reading over the questions that you're going to ask. I'm like, oh, I just like really like sunk into the real draw of this because it's easy to just say, oh yeah, I got into it, blah blah blah. But when I was about 20, originally, I got into weightlifting at the gym in Crestwell, doing it with my brother, and so that was a like kind of a bond we had. And then um, about a year later, he kind of fell away from doing it, and I went through a divorce at that point. I was only about 21, and so after that was done, I went back into weightlifting. And it was a very um, receptive group. And Ironworks is no longer there, but the group that was there when I was there, it was a super, super special group of people, and they were just amazing. So they were very welcoming at a time of my life when I felt like there was nothing grounding me. So that having the weightlifting with the people, with the community, the combination for me was extremely impactful for my young adult life. And I've also seen it with the coaches that were down there and the people that were down there. So I got to see it, feel it really firsthand for myself of the impact that it was able to have on my life and me able to really ground in and become the human I am. And then also I got to being in it for so long, I saw a lot of other people that really benefited too, that really, that became an anchor for them, whether it was long term like me or even short term, some people that just kind of came through, but you could see that it it did something for them, it shifted them, having that support, having that coaching. And so um as I got myself more anchored internally, I became really drawn to want to share that with others. I'd felt that impact. And so I was really drawn. And I'd met the owner of Eugene CrossFit. He'd actually come and lifted with us for a while. So that felt like an open door to contact him. I'd had a couple like one-on-one clients here and there, but I really like the group atmosphere. And I feel like that's where you really experience the that community aspect that I am so fond of. And I know you got to experience that and feel it yourself. So I think you can relate with that. And so I just kind of started. I didn't necessarily know when I started that it was going to be what I did for a living, but I knew that I wanted to share that with people. So it started out as a very small thing, and that I enjoyed. And I was able to see people, kind of grow on their own in it, and have relationships with each other. And it's always been kind of a sport that, I don't want to say it draws in awkward people, but it draws in, it's not necessarily your normal gym crowd that gets drawn into it. So I love watching the aspects of people of all different ages, of all different walks of life come together into an area. And I really believe, and I've witnessed this of people, it kind of, it calms down the like opposing things because you have a common ground and you like this person. and it opens up opens up doors for people to just be themselves with somebody that they wouldn't normally be themselves with. And that is one of the things that I love about it so much, is to watch that and to just see people just like have synchronicities that you would never ever imagine. And that is one of my favorite things. So I know that weightlifting isn't going to be that piece for everybody. Obviously, everyone has to find their own thing. But I know there is a group of people that will find it through weightlifting. And I know that I can hold that space for some of those people. So that's what really is my draw and how I got all into that.
Well, thinking back on when I was lifting with your groups, and what you're saying was really true. I don't know if I was really aware of it at the time, but everybody in the group, kind of no matter which group you came to, they were all supportive.
Yeah.
I mean, they all wanted you to be able to do whatever it was that you were trying to do, or your new personal best, or whatever. And it wasn't a competition thing of, I can lift a bazillion pounds, you can't. There was never any of that. It was just like, good job, you lifted more than you've ever lifted before.
Right.
That sense of community and support is so important. I mean, and I think we're all finding that as we're not having much of that these days, or at least not in real life. So Jessica, I'm looking at the clock and thinking about our time and appreciating you giving us this time. What are some gifts that you can give, some suggestions or techniques that people can have as a takeaway?
My biggest thing I'd like to suggest for people is to meet themselves where they are, to not, whether they're already working out, they want to work out, or maybe even with just health and nutrition in general, not to take somebody else's goals and try to make them theirs, and not try to set unrealistic goals. And even if they're setting them goals or intentions, but really to come in, and be where they are, like you said, kind of with that group of not being in competition, but just really celebrating a little bit closer to where you want to be. Whether, it doesn't have to be big. So you have to know where you're at. So if you can't lift any weight, lifting a little bit is that's still progress. So really be honest with where you're at, so that you know where you want to go, and you can celebrate the process along the way. Because if you're stuck thinking that you want to go over here and you're over here, it can feel really disappointing to be here unless you already know that you're here. So that would be my biggest takeaway for whatever endeavor you're doing, actually.
That's a really good point. Because we're so into setting goals and having commitments for the future, but honoring and really celebrating where we're starting from.
Right.
Really,
it changes everything.
And let's see, we were talking before of some of the goodies that you have for folks. So what was it that you had for local folks?
So anyone who's local and is watching this, I'd love to offer for you to come in and do a free class with the group. And we're there 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday evenings, and Saturday mornings. So anyone who wants to reach out and come in, that would be awesome. I would invite you wholeheartedly. And even though it can be slightly intimidating to see a bunch of people lifting weights, the group is really nice and really supportive and welcoming as well. And then for anyone who either, if that doesn't resonate or just isn't in the area, I'd love to offer to do what do we call it? Discovery call. So if they would like to just talk about where they're at, or something that they're stuck with, or figuring out where they want to go for those type of things, I would love to offer, a one-on-one Zoom call or FaceTime with them.
Neat. Oh, that sounds perfect. So we're talking about a 15-minute free discovery call, no strings. And if you're local is the Eugene, Springfield, Lane County, Oregon area, or if you're passing through, some people are traveling now and then.
Yeah, every once in a while I see those people, and that's always really fun.
Exactly. Well, Jessica, thank you so much. This has been such a treat to have you talk
Yes.
about your love, and I learned a lot weightlifting, and I'm still working on my squats, something
Oh,
I need
good.
to keep working on.
Yay. Thank you so much, Robin. This was really fun.
Oh, good. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.